I don't know why there's some sort of bluish tint to today's video. I guess my lighting is just not doing the job, or it's a little cloudy in Las Vegas, but we have a celebration to keep in mind. I'm rocking out with the Orioles hat today because they did not lose their 15th game in a row. I'm so excited for them. Look at this catch from Cedric Mullins. He kind of saved the game momentarily, and then the Twins scored a few runs, but hey, good for the Orioles. Not losing 15 straight is a big 2 thumbs up from Fuzzy. What's going on, everyone? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another MLB recap. Thank you all so much for stopping by. We have a lot to talk about today. If this is your first time on the channel, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. We do this every single day. And also, save yourself some money. Use code Fuzzy on SeatGeek if you're going to any baseball games anytime soon. We're going to go ahead and talk about some injuries to 4 or 5 star/superstar players today. I mean, baseball players are getting injured left and right. I don't understand it. I 1,000,000% thought that the Mets were going to come away with a victory as Dominic Smith hits a home run. This was a little bit of lefty-lefty crime. You have Francisco Lindor with an RBI triple, so maybe look for him to get hot. Pavin Smith, though, I'm going to say this bat flip was like a 6 or 7 out of 10 because he knew that this ball was going 750 feet, but the bat flip was a little funny. I mean, that's the only word that I can describe it because he just yanked it. He didn't do anything with it. Either way, that was a massive home run from Pavin Smith, and Josh Rojas, who had a little bit of a beef earlier on in the game with starting pitcher Marcus Stroman, he ties it up, and Josh Reddick, he walks it off with 2 RBIs as the Mets bullpen has been really bad as of late. I think they've blown 2 or 3 saves in the last week. Again, just not good. We have another walk-off coming from the Rockies. Chuck Nasty, he was himself yesterday. I don't even know how he was able to put this ball in play. I mean, this one was way off the plate. The Rockies grab an early lead, and then Adolis Garcia, he saves it for Dave Dunning with a spectacular catch over in center field. Jonathan Daza, he grabs the lead back until Crush Davis ties it up yet again as the Rockies go into the final inning tied up 2 apiece, and then a walk-off wild pitch seals it for the Rockies. Good for them. So we're going to go ahead and start breaking down the injuries, but we're going to talk about the games as well as the players that were injured either before or during the game. The Cubs versus the Padres. The Cubs with a 4-3 victory courtesy of Patrick Wisdom. He followed up a 2-home run game with a monster 2-run home run. You have Victor Caratini and Tommy Pham combining for 3 RBIs as the Padres, they go up by a single run. Wilson Contreras does not like the sound of that though, and he wants the victory, so he smacks a 2-run home run, and Craig Kimbrell, he is back to prime Atlanta Braves Craig Kimbrell. He strikes out the side. He was almost kind of smirking to himself like, this is too easy for me now, for his 13th save of the season. So the Cubs escape with a 4-3 victory. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games, and they're a half game ahead of the Cardinals for first place in their division. Unfortunately, not only did the Padres lose that game, they may have potentially lost Fernando Tatis with an oblique injury. He was removed for precautionary reasons, so right now it's not considered a full-blown injury. We have to keep in mind that Jack Flaherty is going to miss a significant amount of time. The ace for the St. Louis Cardinals with essentially the same problem, an oblique strain. So hopefully there's just some tightness for Fernando Tatis. He was able to run off the field and he seemed like he was all right and it was just precautionary, but Jack Flaherty, like I mentioned, he's going to be out for quite some time with an oblique tear. Or I guess you have to say strain, but maybe that means tear. I don't know. If you're a doctor, let me know in the comment section down below. Unlike the Padres though, the Cardinals won yesterday. They faced the LA Dodgers, and Paul Goldschmidt, Goldie, started off the game with an RBI double, and then Dylan Carlson, he is going to be a thorn in the side for Dodgers fans for quite some time. He drives in an RBI, and then he saves the game with a fantastic play in center field. John Gant of the Cardinals, he is one of the most confusing pitchers in baseball because he goes 6 scoreless, but he has 34 walks in 50 innings, so I mean, one of these days he's just going to get torched for a couple runs because he is consistently walking people. Matt Beatty, after an error, he ties it up and makes up for it, but Tyler O'Neill, he showed off the wheels on a stolen base, and because of that, Edmundo Sosa, he was able to drive him in, and for the second time in the last week or two, the Dodgers were robbed of a walk-off. First, it was Mike Tauchman robbing Albert Pujols, and this time, Tyler O'Neill, the Gold Glover, robs Mookie Betts of a game-tying, maybe even potential walk-off double in the bottom half of the game, and unfortunately, yeah, the Dodgers lose 3-2. We're going to talk about the Jays and the Braves game because we have some Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Ronald Acuña Jr. highlights. The Jays, they beat the Marlins fairly fairly easy yesterday. After Vladdy Jr., his 5-game home run drought, I know he's gone 5 games without a home run. What are we going to do? Well, he answered that with a 3-run tater for his 17th home run of the season. So he is now leading baseball at 17. Ronald Acuña Jr. is still at 16. Robbie Ray with 6 innings of only 1 earned run and 9 strikeouts. You have Lourdes Gurriel homering, and then Vlad, he ends the game going 4 for 4, and the bullpen only allows 1 hit in the final 3 innings. So the Blue Jays, they are now plus 46 run differential on the season, and they're 5.5 games back of first place in the American League East. The Nationals versus the Braves. Ozzie Albies, he starts the game off with an RBI double, and Strasburg, he did not look comfortable from the get-go. He has to get taken out due to injury. Kyle Schwarber drives an RBI, and Juan Soto and Ryan Zimmerman on 2 swings drive in 4 RBIs. Remember how I said Ronald Acuña Jr. only had 16 home runs? Well, he changed that. He is now tied with Vladdy at 17 apiece. The Nationals score 3 more in the 7th and 2 in the 8th on a Juan Soto, aka Ted Williams Jr. home run. The Nationals, they lead with an 11-6 victory. Now, one more injury I do want to talk about because I wanted to bring up Acuña and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just to get away from the sad news. Kyle Lewis, he has a small meniscus tear, so he is going to be out for the next few weeks. But Taylor Trammell, who was raking in AAA, he's going to be just fine in my opinion, as he showed yesterday. Matt Olson, who is so underrated, he has the most home runs in baseball from any first baseman since the beginning of 2018 or 2019. Trammell, who was the player of the month in AAA over his last 17 games, he was raking, he hits a home run, but of course it wasn't enough as the A's score 6 runs in the 7th inning. Tony Kemp, Piscotty, and Kemp again make it 12 runs, and Jesus Luzardo, ever since he has returned from the injured list where he broke his own hand, he's gone 4 scoreless innings, struck out 7, and he's been really good. And I forgot to remind you guys that one more injury, Ramon Laureano, he has been placed on the IL with a hip injury. Again, baseball players are dropping like flies. Holy offense, the Phillies put up 17 runs yesterday. Tyler Naquin, he starts off the game with a 2-run home run off Aaron Nola, who has been good but not great to begin the season. And then Ronald Torreyes for the Phillies, he starts it off. You have Odubel Herrera, Rhys Hoskins, Andrew McCutchen, Ronald Torreyes, and Matt Joyce. Every single player that we just mentioned, 5 different Phillies hitters had multi-RBI games and 7 home runs total. I mean, there's not even really much that we have to mention aside from the fact that it was 17-3 and 7 home runs for a single team is insanity. Another insane offensive performance came from the Tigers and the Brewers. So Colton Wong, he starts it off with a home run for the Brewers. Then you have Eric Haas of the Tigers. He does the same. Miguel Cabrera, this was not a home run, but he clears the bases for 3 RBIs on this double. So he now has 400 career doubles. Good for him. Jonathan Scope, I told you guys he's going to get traded, and I believe it's going to happen, especially after yesterday. A 2-run home run. Then you have Tyrone Taylor hitting his first home run of the game. Eric Haas with his second home run of the game. That was answered back by Colton Wong, who has his second home run of the game. Then Jonathan Scope hits his second home run of the game. Then Tyrone Taylor hits his second home run of the game. So 4 players combined in that game for 8 home runs. So 4 different players had multi-home run games as the Tigers win 10-7. Just, I mean, are we sure the baseball is actually fixed? Let's talk about a few American League West teams. The Angels beat up the San Francisco Giants. I was not expecting this, but hey, good for Angels fans. Starting pitcher Andrew Heaney scores on a wild pitch, and Rendon drives in 2 RBIs. Max Stassi, he eats left-handed pitchers alive, and Anthony Rendon comes in later and clears the bases. He ends the day with 5 RBIs. That was a much-needed breakout performance. He has been slumping as of late. Andrew Heaney was fantastic, almost 7 innings with 7 strikeouts, only allows 1 earned run. Again, Rendon needed that, and hopefully he keeps up the momentum into the other games because Mike Trout, he's inching closer to returning, but we're still a few weeks away. But if Rendon, Ohtani, I know Upton left with a slight injury, but I think he's going to be okay. If all of those guys can start raking at the same time, and we haven't even talked about Jared Walsh, the Angels offense can be scary. Speaking of scary, the Astros, woo, they beat the Red Sox yesterday, and it was fairly easy for them as well. Jose Altuve, his 8th home run of the season. This brings his OPS plus up to 135. He is raking to begin this year. Luis Garcia goes 7 fantastic innings, only allows 1 earned run, 1 walk, and racks up 6 strikeouts. The Red Sox, they showed some pretty bad defense and honestly effort yesterday. They allow a run. Carlos Correa drives in an RBI on a bases loaded walk, and then Yordan Alvarez drives in the 5th and final run on an infield single. The Astros are on a 3-game winning streak, and they're the only team in their division with a positive run differential. The Red Sox not playing the best baseball lately. If we're going to talk about the Red Sox, I want to talk about the Royals because Andrew Benintendi, former star in Boston, had a career day yesterday. yesterday for the Kansas City Royals. He drives in an RBI early, and Brady Singer, he was roughed up by the Pittsburgh Pirates offense. The Pirates, they can go off from time to time. Salvador Perez, he re-energizes the offense with this home run, and Whit Merrifield is already up to 29 RBIs. Andrew Benintendi, I'm going to call him Benny Biceps today because Benny Biceps was back in action. With this grand slam, he now has 5 home runs, 23 RBIs, a 108 OPS plus, and 6 stolen bases. So he is not the best player by any means, but he is showing improvement, and that's all the Royals really care about. Salvador Perez, he does it yet again as the Royals win 10-5 over the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Royals are on a 3-game winning streak. And I want to talk about Franchy Cordero, who the Red Sox traded for in exchange for Andrew Benintendi. He has 1 home run and a 39 OPS plus. I mean, it's safe to say that the Red Sox, they lost that trade. 2 American League East teams I want to talk about. They both came away with victories. The Yankees, this was kind of an embarrassing game for the Yankees up until the final inning. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Austin Meadows has been hitting like MVP Christian Yelich over his last 15 games. The Yankees score 3, and then Kevin Kiermaier, he comes back to tie it up. Frazier, Clint Frazier, he just loves to dive all over the place. He comes in huge with a web gem, and then even more huge, if that's even a proper sentence, with a walk-off home run. This was a big time victory because it came against the Rays. The Red Sox lose, so the Yankees are now 4.5 games back of first place, and they won that game even though it was some pretty sloppy baseball if you ask me. Like I mentioned, the Orioles, they did not lose their 15th consecutive game. Mancini drives in the first 2 RBI, so he's up to 44 already on the season. They score a few more before Pedro Severino hits a no-doubt home run. That was super clutch for Pedro because he has not been that great. And Adley Rutschman, the #1 overall pick a few years ago, the catching prospect for the Orioles, he is raking in the minors, so it might be time to bring up Adley in the next few weeks or months. Bruce Zimmerman almost goes 6 innings, racks up 7 strikeouts, and Michael Franco puts it on ice with a 440-foot bomb, so the Orioles win 7-4. And last but not least, my team, the White Sox, were going through it in the first few innings as 2 infield singles gives Cleveland a 2-0 lead, but then Billy Hamilton on a very stupid inside the park home run face plant, he gives the White Sox a 3-2 lead, and then Harold Ramirez, Austin Hedges, and Jose Ramirez, they torched Dylan Cease for 6 earned runs, and Bieber was really good, 7 innings, 2 earned runs, and 7 strikeouts. James Karinchak morphed into Cody Allen for an inning with 4 base hits, 1 walk, and 2 earned runs, almost completely blew it, and White Sox fans were going crazy because I will be honest with you, James Karinchak, it was fairly obvious he was using some sort of foreign substance in his glove, so I'm going to go ahead and give that to White Sox fans. I don't think you lost because of that, but hey, that does it for today's MLB recap. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. We do this every single day. Use code Fuzzy on SeatGeek. Save yourself $20 off concerts, baseball games, anything that you can think of, and enjoy this day in MLB history.
The 0-2 pitch on the way. Swing! It's over! He has done it! High fastball. Randy Johnson being mobbed by Scott Bradley down to greet him and the entire Mariner team. Here on the 2nd of June, it ends at 9:51.